Creating homebrew magic items can be very difficult, but I'm going to give you some tips for how to balance them appropriately and make sure your players still have fun. Also, thank you to Rolfier for the question. I personally struggle to create homebrew magic items off the top of my head, as I find that balancing the effects versus the ability can be a bit of a tricky thing. I find there's a fine line between making an item unappealing to your PCs and making it completely overpowered. With that in mind, I've created this table above me here that gives you a kind of overview of what rarity item should probably go to your specific PC's level. It can also be a really good starting point to actually base your homebrew items off a pre-existing magic item. And we just use it as a frame of reference as to how to tweak it. If we take this item as an example, the Cape of Mountebank, which allows players to dimension door once a day, which resets at dawn. And imagine we need to kind of downgrade this for a lower level party. Instead of using the spell Dimension Door, we can actually swap this to Misty Step, as it's a lower level spell, which is more suited to the kind of overall level of players. But still provides a pretty unique kind of movement ability in the middle of combat, having a bonus action to move 30 feet. Maybe you can also increase it to 2 uses before it needs to reset at dawn. If you're afraid of providing your players with an overpowered homebrew item, there are 3 main ways that I hem the items back in. First one being uses per day. Assigning magic item X amount of uses per day is key at preventing the item from getting spammed by the party. To add a bit more randomness to the item, beginning of each day, have the player who holds the item roll a 1d4, let's say, to see how many uses, as that can add a little bit more kind of drama to when he's decide to use it. Also, a key thing you see in a lot of pre-built magic items is that they will reset at dawn, not at the end of a long rest. If you reset at the end of a long rest, certain parties might take advantage of that quite easily. The second way is through attunement. Having attunement on every magic item can be a bit of a bore as a player when you're limited to only 3 magic items. So it's really up to DM's discretion when to provide attunement. A good rule of thumb though, if it's something that the players could swap between each other to get past a problem, it most likely requires attunement. So let's say the players have a ring of spider climbing that doesn't require attunement. A clever party could swap this ring between each other once each member has gotten to the top of the climb, toss it back down, and then everyone passes the climb check without ever having to roll a die, which is a little bit taking the fun out of the DM's hands. So I feel like items that can be quickly shared like that and players can take advantage of, most likely you'll need to put attunement on. Now the third way, and by far, in my opinion, the most fun way, is through cursed items. If you're feeling brave and particularly sinister, you can purposely give your players a little bit of an overtuned magic item, with the drawback being it's cursed. Upon donning this item, the player is instantly aware of a mistake they've made. Let's take an example I've just created here called the Banshee Blade. A +1 dagger deals an extra 1d4 force damage, but once drawn, the blade is bound to the character as the Banshee's wail deafens the character. One of the kind of interesting things about having a cursed item as well, it's actually really good for narrative purposes too. As the party now has a side quest, find the creator of the curse or break the curse in some way, help get that player back to normal. Or I suppose the party could just play on with a deaf party member, you know? Doable. One more fun feature that could take a little bit more planning from the DM side of things is to give your players a magical item that can level up with the players. How you set the goals for when the item will quote unquote level up, depending on how you run your game. If you run your game as a milestone based XP, like level up system, XP system, it can be a bit more difficult. You'll need to select like a specific time frame you expect them to get to ahead of you. I find it's much more easier if you're using an XP based system. This can be much easier because you can take something simple as set an XP goal, and every time the character earns XP, the ring also earns an equivalent amount of XP. As for how much XP to give the ring until it levels up, you can have a quick look at the just overall XP chart of your players. See how much XP is between each level, and you kind of dictate, okay, I want them to get this level up on the item, like around 6 or 7 level, and you can go from there. And finally, if none of this advice really appeals to you, here are a list of some magic item generator websites. You can use weak magic items for 5e, which provides very low level kind of items you can tune up yourself or something like that. Or at herebetaverns.com, you can find some very interesting magic item generators on that site too. Be sure to show the creators of these websites some love. And if you're using any official D&C sources, make sure you have the books. It's the golden rule. Now follow us, you feckin' nerds.